When Maya clicked the Zoom link, she was just hoping for a job. Nothing more. Not a miracle, not a dream job, just something to help her get through the month. Her rent was overdue. Her fridge was almost empty. And her savings? Gone. But what she didn't know was that someone on the other side of that screen already knew everything about her. Her first pet's name. The street she grew up on. Even the lullaby her brother used to hum before he disappeared. This wasn't an interview. This was something else. Something much darker. Before we begin, tell us where you're watching from in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because what happens next might just keep you up tonight. This is EdgeLine Stories, where real life writes the most unforgettable scripts. Maya Alvarez had always done things by the book. Graduate with honors, pay off her student loans, land a stable job. She'd even stuck it out during the pandemic layoffs, piecing together freelance gigs and tutoring kids online. But by 2024, even her resourcefulness was wearing thin. She was 29, single, and on the verge of eviction in a one-bedroom apartment in Tacoma, Washington. Her only constant companion was a jittery rescue cat named Button. The world outside her window looked normal: commuters, teenagers on scooters, early morning joggers, but Maya's world felt like it was folding in on itself. So when she saw a promising remote job on a freelancer board for a communications strategist, she applied without blinking. It wasn't a glamorous job, but the company, Novum Global, looked legitimate. Their site was sleek, they had a LinkedIn page, and the pay? Almost too good to be true. 2 hours later, she received an email. No screening test, no preamble, just an invitation to a virtual interview scheduled for 7 p.m. that evening. The subject line read, "Let's talk about your future. Confirmed Zoom interview with Novum Global." She was thrilled. Nervous, but thrilled. 7 p.m. came fast. Maya straightened her blouse, propped up her laptop on a stack of books, and clicked the link. The screen flickered, then loaded. A man sat across from her, virtually. His camera slightly blurry, like he was using an old webcam. He wore a charcoal gray suit and a maroon tie. The room behind him was nondescript. White walls. Just a faint hum in the background, like an old air conditioner. "Good evening, Maya," he said, smiling gently. "You've been quite busy these past few months." Maya's fingers twitched on her keyboard. "Weiss," she said. "It's been a rough year, but I'm excited about the opportunity." The man's expression didn't change. "That must have been a hard Christmas," he said softly. "Excuse me?" 2022. That was the year your cat got sick, and your brother stopped replying to your emails. Maya blinked. She hadn't written that in any application. And her brother? Diego had been missing for nearly 7 years. Vanished during a cross-country hike. He was presumed dead. "Sorry," she said, trying to smile. "Is that part of a background check?" The man leaned in slightly, and the camera froze for a moment, then caught up. "No, I just like to know who I'm hiring." Maya's chest tightened. The interview continued, but each question got weirder. "What did your father say to you the night he left? Have you ever told anyone what happened in room 308? What did you bury in your grandmother's backyard at age 9? Maya stared, stunned. "How do you know these things?" she whispered. The man leaned forward again, and this time the screen glitched. His voice echoed, double-layered, distorted. "Because Maya, you asked us to find you. You just didn't remember." Maya froze. "What is this?" she asked. "Who are you?" The screen suddenly went black, then flashed white. A loading symbol. A photograph appeared. Her and Diego. At the lake house. The last summer they spent together. The photo was private. She'd never posted it. Never even scanned it. It was in a dusty old photo album at her mother's house. She slammed the laptop shut. Her heart raced. Her breathing ragged. Then came the knock at her apartment door. She approached the door slowly. Peered through the peephole. No one was there. Just a manila envelope sitting on the doormat. She picked it up, trembling. Inside was a single piece of paper. A printed message. "Do you want to know what happened to Diego? Then don't shut the laptop next time." Cut to black. In the dead silence of her apartment, Maya stood clutching a single piece of paper that seemed to reach out from another world. Her brother had vanished years ago. Her secrets were hers alone. But someone, somehow, knew everything. And now they had delivered a message. One that reopened old wounds and threatened to answer the one question she'd buried in silence for too long. What really happened to Diego Alvarez? The message sat heavy in her palm. Her breath fogged the paper as she read it again and again, each word sharp like broken glass. Do you want to know what happened to Diego? Then don't shut the laptop next time. She turned the envelope inside out. No address. No return label. No fingerprints. Just that one line, typed neatly in sans serif font. For hours, Maya sat on the floor, staring at her unopened laptop. Part of her wanted to destroy it, toss it in the bathtub, smash it with the heel of her boot. But the other part, the one that still cried at night for her brother, needed answers. Diego had vanished during the summer after college. They were supposed to hike the enchantments together, just a quick weekend trip through the Cascade Mountains. But he went a few days earlier, alone. He never came back. His car was found at the trailhead. His phone? Destroyed. His pack? Empty. The case was cold. The police called it an accident. But Maya always believed there was more. And now, someone was confirming that. The next morning, Maya went through the motions. Brushed her teeth. Fed the cat. Made coffee she didn't drink. But when she left her building for the first time since the interview, she felt it immediately, like gravity pulling behind her. Someone was following her. At first, she thought she was imagining it. Paranoia from a strange night. But as she walked 3 blocks to the corner market, a man in a gray hoodie crossed her path twice. Once near the trash bins, again outside the laundromat. Then again, reflected in the glass of a parked car. He never got too close. Never spoke. But when she turned around sharply, he disappeared behind a mailbox. Back at her apartment, Maya reopened her laptop. The Zoom link was still there. Nuvum Global Interview Recording, pending. She clicked it. Nothing. Then, after a 5-second delay, the video began to play. Except, it wasn't the same. This wasn't her side of the conversation. It was his. But his face was blurred. His voice was run through a synthesizer. She watched as he said things only Diego would know. She whispered to herself, "How is this happening?" Then, a second file popped up in her downloads folder. She didn't click anything. It appeared on its own. It was labeled 1970 Project Minerva/Subject, Diego Alvarez. 1978? Diego wasn't even born until 1993. She opened the file. It was a scanned government document, redacted heavily. It mentioned a classified psychological research project called Minerva, focusing on cognitive pattern imprinting, intergenerational memory displacement, and false identity induction. Her heart pounded. Then she saw it again. Subject, Diego Alvarez. Status, reassigned. Date, August 17, 2007. Location, unlisted, formerly Monroe Hospital, Seattle. Monroe Hospital had shut down 12 years ago. It was one of those abandoned facilities on the edge of town. Burned out, graffitied. Maya had driven past it hundreds of times without thinking. But now, she couldn't ignore it. She copied the file to a USB drive and slipped it into her bag. And that night, against her better judgment, Maya drove out to Monroe Hospital. The building loomed like a skeleton in the dark. Tall, crooked, weathered by time. She parked behind a rusted-out ambulance and slipped through a broken service door. Inside, the air was thick with mold and silence. Her flashlight swept across collapsed ceilings and rusted equipment. And then, down a corridor lined with wheelchairs, she found it. Room 308. Just like the man had mentioned during the interview. Her fingers trembled as she pushed the door open. Inside was a single chair, a table, and on it, a cassette tape recorder. She hit play. A woman's voice crackled through. Subject 47B is responding to stimuli as expected. No memory of prior cycles. Emotional attachment to sibling figure remains intact. Initiating reset in 3, 2, 1. Then static. Maya dropped the recorder. What was this? She turned to leave and froze. There was someone at the end of the hallway. The man in the hoodie. He stood motionless, watching. Then he turned and walked away, toward the exit. Maya ran after him. But when she got outside, he was gone. Only her car remained. And under the windshield wiper, another envelope. Inside, a Polaroid. Her and Diego. But in this photo, dated March 1981, they were children. They were laughing and standing outside Monroe Hospital. Maya stared, speechless. She hadn't even been born in 1981. So what was going on? Was she just caught in something bigger than a scam job? Something tied to her brother? Or maybe to herself? Maya Alvarez had come looking for a job. What she found was something else entirely. A name buried in a decades-old classified program, a voice from her past that shouldn't exist, and a photograph that defied time itself. She wasn't supposed to be in that hospital. She wasn't supposed to find that cassette. And she definitely wasn't supposed to know the truth. But the moment she saw that photo, everything changed. The Polaroid shook in her hand. There she was, maybe 7 years old, grinning up at the camera next to a boy who looked exactly like Diego. The date on the back read March 21st, 1981. But Maya had been born in 1994. And Diego in 1993. This wasn't Photoshop. The wear, the grain, the fingerprints in the emulsion. It was real. There was no rational explanation. This wasn't just about her brother. It was about her. Back in her apartment, the man from the hoodie was already waiting. She nearly screamed, but he held up his hands in peace. My name is Luca. I'm part of what's left of them. Minerva. He looked exhausted, not much older than her. He told her the truth. You weren't adopted. You were created. Maya's knees nearly gave out. Project Minerva didn't just study memory. It installed them. Every child, every subject, was imprinted with artificial backstories to test behavioral conditioning. Diego, he was the control. The variable. She shook her head. That's impossible. But it wasn't. Because deep down, Maya had always felt wrong. A memory that didn't quite sit right, a fear that didn't make sense. She asked him, why me? Why now? Luca sighed. Because someone wants to restart the project. And you're the only one who can expose it. Luca handed her a flash drive. It contained hours of footage, recordings, and declassified logs. Interviews with surviving scientists. Data that could destroy careers. Files showing other applicants who'd vanished under similar digital traps. Most of them women, all with forgotten ties to Minerva. But the final file was a podcast. Raw audio from an interview conducted 5 years ago. It was Diego, talking to someone. I couldn't protect her then. But if she's listening now, Maya, don't trust anyone who claims they're hiring. They're testing you again. Find the old hospital. Find Luca. I left everything in room 308. Maya covered her mouth. Her brother knew. He had tried to stop them. He'd disappeared himself to save her. She had two choices. Upload the files publicly. Expose Minerva. Burn every name on those redacted lines. Or stay quiet. Protect Diego's last known location. Vanish like he did. Keep the truth buried and live with it. The laptop screen blinked. The upload window waited. Her finger hovered over enter. But just as she hit the key, the power went out, and someone knocked at her door. 3 slow, heavy knocks. Then silence. The truth was out there, but so were the ones trying to silence it. And now they knew, she knew. Was this the end of her story? Or the beginning of something far darker? As Maya just one subject? Or were there others still trapped in the shadows of forgotten experiments? Would you have risked everything to uncover the truth? Let us know in the comments. And if you thought this story was intense, wait until you hear what happened to the woman who got a voicemail from her husband 6 months after he died. That story is coming next. So make sure you hit subscribe, like, and turn on notifications. This is EdgeLine Stories, where real life writes the most unforgettable scripts.